Happy New Year, y'all. I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to get off to the right foot. It is a new year. Welcome to 2025, into the 2025 gardening season. It has started here for us, and I'll let you all know, we did get a first frost just a couple weeks ago. So we're in January 2025, but we probably experienced our first frost towards the end of December. And then today is Sunday, so Thursday we had a snow day. And now that the way that the gardens look, you can't even tell. So the thing about where we're located in New Mexico, the snow will come, and first it'll just be a few little flurries here and there, but then it came down for a little bit and we got a few inches, and now a couple days later you can't even tell. Yesterday we still had a little bit of snow in the side of our yard that's in shade all day, but that's officially gone. So we have stuff planted in the garden for our spring season, which I'm excited about, and most of it survived the snow. Well, pretty much all of it survived the snow. I think the only thing that maybe got a little bit of cold damage is our large snap peas. The snap peas that, well, you can see them right here in the camera. That was like one of our first winter successions, and everything else is much shorter. So there's a growing tip for you if you want to try to get stuff planted in the winter, but you know that there's like a expected time where you can typically expect snow, and sometimes we'll get snow in December, and then sometimes we'll get it in February. Plant your stuff so that it's not too large by the time you get that first frost, and it'll actually do a little bit better if it's on the smaller side. It'll be able to weather the cool and cold temperatures if it's on the smaller side, and you won't have to cover it with frost cloth. This is growing information from my growing zone, which is zone 8A here in the high desert of New Mexico at the base of the Tularosa Mountains. So that tip is not going to work everywhere, but it will work for here. The garden is in progress, but I did want to just make a record and show you all what things are looking like here in January. We won't see all of the garden beds because some of them still need to be cleaned up and need to get replanted, but there is some stuff growing in the garden, so let's take a tour. Okay, so just like the last few years, I like to give you guys an overall view of the garden. So here's how things are looking. Full view. We have some things that we gotta get put away, hoses, trash, and the like. And then we have this, we're utilizing this playpen as like a rabbit tractor, so every now and then we'll put rabbits in there so they can have some time in the grass. We have our chicken coop over there, so there's quite a bit of stuff over here. We have a hammock over there, and then we have this animal tractor, and we have a bunny in there who's currently recuperating. So we have a rabbit who injured one of her nails on her back paws, and so we wanted to take her off of the wire cages because we typically keep our rabbits in wire cages, and we wanted to let her stay in the grass so it'd be a little bit softer on her feet. And we have it tarped up just to protect her from the cool winter nights, because our rabbit cages are closer to the house, so they get some of that ambient heat from the house. So she's in there. So yeah, you can see we still have quite a bit of cleanup to do before the spring. We're still hoping to create an opportunity in the spring where people can come and take a look around and what we've got going here in our backyard, but we still have quite a bit of work to do. And by April, it should look much more impressive. There'll be a lot more that is flourishing. There'll be flowers, and most of our vegetables will be planted by the end of April. So, but the snow on the mountains looks so pretty. So here's our overall view of the backyard farm. Here's a look at the flower path. This is one of the areas I like to show at the beginning of most of the garden tours. This area definitely keeps me on my toes because of the Bermuda grass that grows from here, which right now this is all mulched with shredded paper and grass clippings to try to suppress some of that Bermuda grass, but it likes to grow into this bed and then over into the sidewalk. So last week or the week before, I came through and pulled all the weeds and grass that was growing in this area because our daffodils that we planted 3 years ago are starting to break the surface of the soil, and I think either this year or next year we're gonna have to dig these daffodils up and divide them and then plant them deeper because they've kind of worked their way up closer to the surface of the soil. Like, so some of them I can actually see the bulb where they're sprouting, and your daffodils should be 6 to 8 inches under the soil. After I pulled all the weeds, I topped it up with some bagged compost and then topped it up with some wood chips. And it looks like there's been a critter in these wood chips, kind of moving them to the side, maybe looking for grubs or something, or trying to stay warm, so you can see. And then the other side of the flower path is probably something I'll get to within the next 2 weeks. So lots of weeds here that are going to get pulled up. There's some hollyhocks back there. And then once I get these weeds pulled up, some of these are like old Shasta daisy plants. They didn't make it through the winter. An old snapdragon plant that didn't make it. And then some sunflower stalks and lots of grass. So that's going to get pulled up and then composted. Get some compost on there and then get some wood chips as well. I'm not sure what I'll plant here this year. I know towards the back we have some daffodils, but then we have the hollyhocks there, and these Shasta daisies that were here are pretty much gone. So I'm not sure what I'll do there. Maybe some sunflowers, but we shall see. I'm looking forward to spring and summer to get a definite answer. We're gonna skip the arch trellises today because we have our recovering bunny over there, and there's nothing. There's an artichoke over there, which I'll show you guys next time because she should be back in her cages, in her cage within a month. So I'll show you the arch trellises next month. But here are our market beds and our flower beds. So let's take a look at what's growing in the market beds. Okay, so here's this first market bed here. I have some heavily seeded radishes. I'm gonna leave these for the time being, and then I may start thinning them out for like what's known as like radish thinnings or radish macrogreens. They're too big to be microgreens now because they have more than just their first set of leaves, which is known as cotyledons. So that's what makes them a microgreen when they're called a microgreen, is because they only have their first set of leaves, which is known as their seed leaves or cotyledons. These all have like a second or third set of leaves, but they're still edible. I mean, they're edible from the time they sprout until really even after they go to seed. They're you can eat the radish seed pods. So these are here. I'm going to thin these out soon and either sell them as microgreens or eat them ourselves, or we can also use them to supplement the rabbits and the chickens' diets as well. And then we have a succession of snap peas on both sides of the trellis. And then along this side we have some anemones. And in years past, I've started anemones indoors and transplanted them outside. In 2024, I did not dig up the anemones. Once they went back dormant, I just said to myself, if they come back, they come back. If they don't, they don't, and that'll be okay. And some of them came back. So they were in a different bed, actually, and I dug them up once I saw them sprouting and moved them over here. And then I've also sown some carrots right along here, but I have not watered this area very consistently. And then with the snow that we had a couple days ago, I probably will water this area tomorrow, because even though we got those couple inches of snow, you can see that this top layer of the soil is looking kind of dry. So here in this bed we have some lettuce seedlings. And as tempted as I have been to try to put a low tunnel over these, because we do have supplies to do low tunnels with either frost cloth or plastic, I told myself that I'm just not going to invest the time this year to baby things, especially in our climate, just because our climate can get super harsh. And so I'm like, if it makes it, it makes it. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And all of the seedlings that are in this bed were actually dug up from different areas around the garden where I had multi-sowed lettuce seeds. And then when they came up in like multiple clumps. So I just dug up the clumps and moved some of the seedlings over here. Some of these look kind of worse for the wear. But like I said, I'm gonna let them go and see what they do. This is nature, so we'll see if they can fare. I'm gonna leave these here, and then whichever ones survive the winter, they should do amazing come springtime if they haven't been too stunted. So probably by the end of February, we'll see what remains. But this is lettuce. This is where we had our shishito peppers last year, and there's a clump of daffodils over on that side of the garden, so I'm looking forward to seeing those come up soon. And then right next to this, we have a trellis, a cattle panel trellis with, this was our first succession of snap peas, and I cannot remember where we sowed these. And they do have some cold damage. You can see these peas are really, you can see the damage, how it kind of looks kind of dusky. And there's not really any snap to that snap pea. It's because of the cold weather. So I'm leaving these though and seeing if the foliage looks kind of droopy right now. But I'm just going to leave them and see if it gets any more vigor to it once it warms up consistently. If it does, that would be amazing because I can use the foliage for flower arrangements. And if it doesn't, then I will just let this dry out and the rabbits could eat it as pea hay, or we can use it as mulch because it dries out to a really nice hay, and it would add some good organic matter to the garden. But this is our first succession of snap peas, and if I do let this dry out to use as hay for mulch, I'll probably just chop it up and throw it right here or right here into the walkways. Along this side, you can see the other side of the peas, and then I sowed a bunch of radishes right down there at the base of the peas. These radishes will probably get thinned, and then we'll go from there because there's daffodils planted underneath these. So the daffodils that are here actually come up a little bit later than some of the other ones. So the daffodils here may not even come up until like February. But the radish is looking fine. The foliage is still edible. Most of the roots of the radishes that I'm currently growing are real small. It's because I sowed them so heavily, which I also did in this bed here. And for anyone wondering, the aisles of this side of the garden, I have mulch with lots of grass clippings and shredded paper. In the center of my garden, I have a semblance of grass growing. It'll grow a lot. It'll grow in a lot more thickly once it actually warms up and we start getting water on it. It's winter, so I'm letting the grass be dormant, but I didn't want to grow grass in this area, and then I might even end up putting wood chips in these pathways, just because these pathways are much more narrow than the pathways I have here in the center, and I didn't want to be concerned with trying to fit a lawnmower or a weed eater in there and potentially taking out some crops. So this is garlic. I didn't plant this garlic this past year. This is garlic that I didn't dig up in July of last year. So I usually dig up all my garlic the week of 4th of July or right thereafter. And I thought I dug up all the garlic here, but I guess some of it worked its way more deeply than I thought. So this is just garlic that never got dug up. So this started coming up when it was still warm. So it will have gotten more than the typical 9 months of growing time. Typically, people will put their garlic in the garden October, November, and then we'll harvest it early to late July. And you know, that's anywhere from like 9 to 10 months. And this will have gotten more growing time than that, just because it never actually came out of the ground. It did sit in here dormant, obviously, while it was like super hot. But then once it started to cool down even the slightest bit, it sprouted, and now we have a lot of garlic. And this is garlic that I bought from the store in 2023, I guess. I think I bought this garlic from the store in 2023, and planted it at the, no, I think I might have bought this garlic at the end of 2022, planted it in the fall of 2022. No, I bought this garlic in 2023, planted it at the end of 2023, thought I harvested it all in 2024, and then what was still in the ground sprouted at the end of 2024, and here we are right now. So you can see that the stalks are pretty thick. I could probably come through and put an even thicker layer of mulch, just so that when we hit our coldest temperatures, which are typically in February, it won't get too much cold damage. And so you can see there's like some crispiness here. And then in the spring, so here's another growing tip for those who may be growing garlic. You want to start fertilizing this in the spring when it really starts putting on growth. But gosh, this has grown a lot. But I'm going to try fertilizing in the spring, and then I'll harvest it in July and see what it's looking like. But this is the last bed on this side of the garden. Another cattle panel trellis with snap peas sown on each side. And then here at the base, I multi-sowed lots of lettuce, in a couple different varieties. Well, I think it might have been like a packet of mixed seed. So you can see this is really pretty, and it has like this red and green, and these are mulched with the shredded paper. You can see in the other bed that I showed you that had the lettuce, you could see how the surface was super dry, and those aren't mulched at all. And I mulched these, you know, to maintain the moisture, and I didn't mulch the other ones because I wanted to kind of see what the growing difference would be like. Now, the seeds here were put in a lot earlier than the other bed of lettuce that I showed you, but you can see the difference in the soil. So you can see this is a lot darker and richer looking. So you can see the difference in the soil here. This is a lot darker and richer looking, and the other soil was a lot lighter in color and just looked kind of dry, and there was kind of a crust over it from the dryness. My only concern with using the paper as shredded mulch is when I go to harvest this, I'm probably going to end up with some paper in my harvest bucket. So I'll just have to be extra cognizant to pick it all out before I bag it up. But honestly, that's my only concern with the paper. It does an amazing job at keeping moisture in the soil. And the earthworms like it, the bugs like it, and they end up kind of breaking it down. And it doesn't break down as fast as like hay or grass clippings or anything like that, so I'm able to use this season after season. So this lettuce looks pretty, it's nice and crisp. We have some oak leaf lettuce here, and then a couple other kinds over here. You can see this is cold damage here on these peas. But yeah, I'm really satisfied with the way that this looks, and by the end of February these should be growing really nicely. I'll probably dig this clump up and separate it, just so that the lettuce has a chance to grow. It grows bigger. If you're looking for larger leaves, you're gonna have to space your lettuce out. If you're looking to grow a full head of lettuce, you have to give your seedling 8 to 12 inches. to grow a full head of lettuce. If you're just looking to grow your lettuce and harvest it leaf by leaf, then you can plant them as close as 4 inches. And this is 4-inch spacing. But like this, I'm going to dig this up in the spring and separate it, just because look how many's here, and so it's staying really small. Whereas the ones where there's fewer seedlings have grown much larger already. So I'm going to cover this back up, and then we'll take a look at how things are growing in the center of the garden. Okay, so these are the center beds in the garden. 1, 2, 3, 4 beds. So we're going to look at these 4 and then we're going to call it, because this only has radishes right now and they're just there really as a cover crop. I don't plan on doing anything with the radishes that are in that raised bed because they're not doing really well. There's a raised bed there, but you can see it's really overgrown right now. And then I just got that back bed cleaned out, and there's garlic and lettuce planted over there, but there's nothing growing just yet. I'm looking forward to the spring. Probably, well, by March, my hope is that I have that back trellis all cleaned up and replanted in peas, and then I have some middle raised beds that'll be back here along the back portion of the wall. It just looks kind of crazy back there right now, so I probably should document it, but I'll show you guys in February because I'll have it at least a little bit more presentable. And then you'll be able to see the difference from February to April, because we've planted ranunculus over here and they should be up and growing by April. I got them in the ground really late, to be honest. So I'm gonna see how it does, and we'll see how it looks in the spring. And as long as they survive the spring, I can always dig them up and then re-sprout them again this coming fall. So, but let's take a look at how this bed is doing. So we're just gonna look at these 4 for now. These are mums that struggled a little bit because I didn't ever cut them back like you're supposed to. So I'm gonna cut those back in the spring. And then I do have garlic planted here, but so far this is the only one that sprouted. And this is softneck garlic, the other garlic that I showed you guys. The store labeled it as hardneck, and it did have a center stalk, but I never got a garlic scape from it. This is softneck, which doesn't grow a center stalk and doesn't grow scapes. And typically my softneck garlic comes up, even if I plant it in October, it doesn't come up until the beginning of the new year. So this one is right on time, actually. This one came up a little bit earlier, and maybe because I planted it too shallow. But yeah, this one is right on time. But I'm not seeing as many sprouts as garlic that I planted over here. But it had me nervous last year, and then it came up just fine, and then we had a really good crop of softneck garlic. It's just like, until I see it actually coming up, I'm kind of like, what's going on? But yeah, this is exactly where I would expect my garlics to be. So this one's a little bit further along, and I'm really eager to see the rest of them. But I did plant garlic in this whole area, and then I also interplanted the garlic with lettuce, and that didn't really germinate very well. So I have one lettuce here, and then we have our snap peas kind of flopping over. They're cold, so if I was like super adamant about trying to protect these peas from the cold, I could take some frost cloth and just try to drape it over either side of the cattle panel, but I don't have that much frost cloth, I don't think. And I don't have the patience for it right now. I mean, I probably could, but then I'd have to remove it during the day because it warms up during the day. So we're gonna let them do their thing, and may the odds be ever in their favor. And then we have thickly sown radishes towards the back. So yeah, those are doing well. And then over on this side, and really the pea succession went like this. I think it went this set, and then maybe that set, this set. Actually, these look further along than those, so I don't know. But this one, and then it went here, there, and there. So you can see those are just barely peeking out of the paper. But yeah, they look fine. And the thing that I noticed last year is even if they get some of that cold damage, if it like gets really worrisome, I can actually cut down the longer tendrils and they'll regrow from the bottom. I experienced that with some of my peas last year, is that they actually started to regrow from the bottom. So, but I'm gonna see what they do, and I don't think it'll be necessary to do that. But over here, another succession of snap peas, and then there's carrot seedlings under all this paper. Yeah, but a lot of grass came up in this area too. The really frilly ones are carrot seedlings. This is grass. Let's see if I can show you some more carrots. So, and I don't feel comfortable pulling the grass out yet because the carrot seedlings are so small and their root is so small. Carrot is a root vegetable, so if the root gets messed up, that's why you get wonky looking carrots. So I'm not really, I'm a little too nervous to come through and try to pull out all the grass. I did a little bit the other day, and I don't want to take too many chances, so I'm gonna let the carrots get a little bit bigger before I come through and try to weed the grass out. But the carrots really won't size up until the temperatures are probably in the 50s and 60s. And right now it's like 39 degrees. So yeah, and you can see this is cold damage on these. So these ones didn't fare as well as the ones that are closer to that cinder block wall, and that's because of the microclimate. These are a little bit more exposed to the elements, whereas that wall kind of offers some protection. Here's my winter sowing. This is my first time I've really like seen the winter sowing through. So here's a look in there. These are snapdragons. These are foxgloves. You can see that dent where I let the water kind of pull up too much. And I don't really know if these are doing well or not. They probably need some fish emulsion, to be honest, because I used seed starting mix instead of potting mix. So seed starting mix doesn't have any nutrients. These are rudbeckia. I'm really excited for these. These are foxgloves. Yeah, they definitely need some fertilizer. And then over on this side, these are Sweet William. I'm excited for these. These are Snapdragon. These are Foxglove. More Sweet William. And more foxglove. So these all could probably use a feed, but this is my first year, like I said, doing this, so I don't really know how they're supposed to look during these harsher winter temperatures, but I'm staying hopeful. So these are known as, these are hardy flowers or cool flowers or hardy annuals. These are all perennials though. The ones that I planted are all perennials, so they should last more than a year. We have some more lettuce that I direct sowed over here. These are ranunculus. This is where I had my ranunculus last year, in this bed. And I've actually been digging them up and moving them to the front yard. But this one is getting pretty big, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to dig it up, otherwise the peas might kind of choke it out. So, but I had not seen those before. So those are ranunculus. Most of the ranunculus I have are in the front yard. If you go back and watch my previous video, I have a tour of my front yard farm, so you'll be able to see those there. But I'm excited for all these peas because I'm growing them for food, but I can also use tendrils for foliage, And then the pea flowers could also make a cute little accent flower if I'm just if I just have like extras to spare. And then when you cut back a plant, typically it will branch and offer you more stems. So here's more lettuce. And then I have garlic interplanted between these lettuces as well. So I'm eager to see if the garlic that's here comes up. This actually might be cilantro, because I had cilantro in the raised bed right next to here, so this could be cilantro, but it does kind of look like ranunculus, to be honest. Just let me smell this. I can't tell, and I don't know if ranunculus is edible, otherwise I would just taste it. Cilantro it grows well in cool weather. I have some cilantro in my front yard. So here in zone 8A, you can grow cilantro through the winter, and then it'll grow a cute little flower in the spring and summer once it goes to seed. So that's this bed. Okay, we're almost done because my hands are cold, and there's only 2 beds here left in the middle, and then I'll show you guys. I'll get the other areas cleaned up for February. But in this bed, we have a succession of snap peas, radish on that side, which germination was kind of spotty. But I think also we had some critters over here. So whether it was birds eating seeds or mice or something, I sowed these seeds really heavily, but it just doesn't, the germination just doesn't reflect that. And then underplanted here and on that side are daffodils. So I have daffodils on both sides of this trellis. This is snapdragon cutting, actually, and it's still alive. I don't want to pull it out in case it hasn't rooted, but it's been here for a couple weeks now and it's still alive. So I'm hoping that the cutting is taking root. And if that works, which I just stuck it in the soil, I didn't root it in water, I didn't root it inside, I just stuck it out here and covered it with the shredded paper, I'm definitely going to have to do that again, because snapdragons have been a little bit challenging for me to grow from seed. For the last like 3 years I've had a hard time. 2020, 2021, 2022, I grew them from seed like nobody's business. 2023 and 2024, challenging years. So if I can make cuttings and root them directly in the soil, that would be amazing. It would help me out a lot. This was a volunteer, I think, that came up in a different bed. So I dug it up, planted it here, and then cut it back so it wouldn't have to support too much foliage, and then cut it back, and then that's the cutting that I put over in that garden bed, and I put another one on the edge of that side. But yeah, this one is doing fine, and I'm excited because I used to have a lot of snapdragons in my yard, but they were a short-lived perennial for me, so they lasted about 2 years, and then they started getting like super gnarly, so I pulled them up anyways. I want them to grow upright and straight and not be super woody. They make a better cut flower that way. And once they started getting woody, then they weren't working well as a cut flower. So snapdragons is something that I want to have in my garden for many, many years to come. And so succession of snap peas, and then I tried sowing spinach. There was a critter that came over here, and I think it must have got a lot of the seeds, because only a couple of the spinach that I sowed are coming up. And to be honest, I'm not gonna re-sow it. I have some spinach sown in the front yard that has germinated much better, and I do have daffodils under here and daffodils under there, and I don't know if spinach would be ready to crop out in time. And I just don't want to deal with how cumbersome it might be to try to harvest daffodils if it's in and amongst spinach. So yeah, here's our peach tree, one of our peach trees, and this is the area back here. You can see I'm going to stand right next to this peach tree so I can show you this, because I'm really looking forward to seeing the difference in the next couple months from this trellis area. We call this Tomato Alley because it's 2 sets of trellises and then there's a walkway in between, and for the past couple years we've grown tomatoes in this area. And we probably will again this year, you know, only time will tell because I don't do a whole lot of garden planning. But yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you guys the difference that this area looks like over the next couple months, because it's kind of intense right now. It's really intense right now. Needs a lot of cleanup. But we'll get there, and we'll get there once it warms up. So yeah, I think this was a relatively quick tour. There's not a whole lot growing, but I want to show you guys what it's looking like. For those who are wondering, because I know some people follow my channel who are also gardening here in my same city, and I usually will refer people here to see, like, if you see what I'm growing, you can know what's capable of growing here, and you can know what season it grows well. So the sun is officially setting, and it's getting more chilly, so we're wrapping up. But thank you so much for coming to check out our January garden. And I look forward to continuing to show you guys what things are looking month upon month. And 2025 is the year no, seriously, 2025 is the year that I will show you that we'll take our full garden journey from January through December. So I'm determined, and I look forward to sticking with it. So thanks for following along, and until next time, keep learning and keep growing.